Hi, Tamily. It's 2 p.m. on Saturday, and it's time for our 16th Ask Tamily interview. I can't believe that by the end of this interview, we will have interviewed 16 people from the Tamily. That's so amazing. And we plan for it to eventually be hundreds, but I'm so excited that it's 16. So our Ask Tamily star today is going to be Rachel. Her Instagram name is RML_Tam. So if you're not following her, go ahead and start following her. And we will have her joining in just a second. Hold on. I'm sending her a request. And we have several questions planned for Rachel, like we usually do, but we want to let everyone know. Of course, if you're watching live, you can type in questions. Hi, Rachel! It sometimes takes a minute for the sound to click in. Okay. Awesome! It's working!
It is working. I'm trying to deal with that window back there. Let me just adjust this. Okay.
Well, welcome to your Ask Tamily interview. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm super excited.
Yes, we can't wait to get to know you a little more. You definitely don't have to be nervous. We're just Tamily people talking about the method, which we do all the time.
Totally.
So we'll go ahead and jump right in with our favorite question, which is, when and how did you start the Tracy Anderson method?
Oh my gosh, it's so funny because I had to go back and look to see how it went. But so I remember most of the Tamily seeing the infomercial, right? I was obsessed with the Metamorphosis infomercial, and I swear I thought that came out really a long time ago, but I think it came out in 2011. Does that sound right to you?
I
was Googling it,
definitely was watching it in 2011.
Okay, because I for some reason I thought it was way earlier than that.
It might have come out before that, and maybe we were still watching it then. But yeah, I was watching it a lot in 2011.
Okay, so in love with the infomercial, didn't pull the trigger, and then one day I'm walking through Bed Bath & Beyond, and there it is. So I bought it at Bed Bath & Beyond, and I went home, and I was all excited, and so it was it must have been 2012, 2013, so it was after I had my first child. It's probably looking to shape up, and I did it, and oh my gosh, I just remember not being able to follow the arms, and I'm a super perfectionist, so then I'm frustrated, and then we got to the mat, and I'm shaking, and my wrist hurt, and then the dance cardio was super hard for me. And so I don't even think I made it to day 10, but I loved Tracy so much. So after I had my second child, I was look, I need to do something. I'm much older now. I was 35 when I had her. So I started Googling around, and a whole bunch of people were recommending the post-pregnancy. So I did that, and I did that on and off for a year, and I loved it, and I feel like it was a really good way to kind of learn how her workout works, because it's not like anything else. And so that worked really good, and then I was well, what am I going to do next? And I was super scared to jump right into Meta because of my first experience, so I ended up doing the two beginner DVDs. It's Mat for beginners and Cardio for beginners.
Okay.
And that was awesome. I feel for me and how my personality is, that was super helpful because I learned how to track her arms. I started getting wrist strength. I got the, strength in my arms and my upper body so that the mat wasn't horrible.
Yeah.
I learned how to do the easy dance cardio. And from there, my plan originally was to do Meta, but in the meantime, I had started blogging about my Tracy Anderson experience, and I had installed a widget on my website for Instagram.
Okay.
So then I went to Instagram, and that's how I found the Tamily.
Okay.
And so then everyone was streaming, and I was oh, I have to do streaming. So then I jumped into streaming, and that was like February of 2016, 2017. I can't remember my years at this point. And I know I did beginners for like 2 or 3 months, and then I just jumped to master class, which looking back, I'm like, that was kind of crazy. But I was like super, kind of competitive. Like I'm super competitive with myself, and I'm like, they're doing it, I can do it. And it was just so hard, but so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then I was streaming, and then around November, I think my 6-month subscription ended, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do Meta now, because there's so many people that had suggested that I do Meta, and I was worried that I had missed out on like something essential for the muscular structure, because I still felt like, especially with masterclass, like I didn't feel like I was tracking her arms appropriately, and I didn't feel like I was hitting the angles. And I feel like at that point we weren't getting the trainer breakdowns, were we?
I don't think so. Yeah,
no.
Later.
Yeah, so I feel like I was worried that I was not doing it correctly, and so then I wasn't getting the full benefit of it. So then I started doing Meta, and that was like November, and then I fell off mid-December. So then fast forward to March, I started up again, and I was doing really good. We went on vacation, and for vacation, I didn't have like a DVD player at the vacation house, so I had a recorded IMC that I brought with me, and it was that one. Do you remember the one where it was like this sweaty, humid room, and she kept having to wipe off the
Yes.
Anyway, so I did that the entire week on vacation, and then that was it. I was like, as great as Meta was, like I felt like I had figured out the angles. And so then it was back to streaming, and now I'm like, ride or die.
Yeah.
I'll be doing it forever. Yeah, so.
So what made you love Tracy and her method versus a different fitness method?
Well, we've all seen her, right? Her body's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
So that was obviously a big part. But then there were like a couple other things. Like I try to be like strategic about stuff. So I'm very short. I'm only 5'2". And I have this theory that like a lot of the tall workouts don't work for short girls. Like I just feel like your body translates things differently. Like 5 pounds on my frame is like 15 pounds on someone else's frame. So I feel like Tracy like understood that. She was not like a 20-year-old young girl. So I feel like she understood like where I was at this time in my life. And she's a mom. And then the more I read, like that she's very just, a lot of what she does is based in science. And so like I want something that's going to be effective, and it's not just going to give me kind of good results, but not end up with like my body how I want it to be. Like in the past I had done a round of, what's it called? That T25.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was great. Like, I liked it at the time, but at the end of it, I ended up with, like, really bulky calves. And I had never had bulky calves. And, like, I'm still trying years and years later to get rid of those freaking bulky calves I got.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted something that was going to be good for my body. And that's why I ended up going with Tracy. I think it was a good choice.
Definitely. So I know you went to advanced, but now today, do you always do advanced? Do you sometimes do IMC, beginner? How do you do it?
Yeah, so like when I first started, they didn't have IMC, so that wasn't an option. And I love that I both love and hate that she's added it, because back then I didn't have an option, so I just did class, and now I have an option. So it really, for me, I try to do master class, and sometimes it takes some people in the Tamily to give me a little reminder, like, hey, I see you doing IMC a lot. Are you doing IMC now? I'm like, okay, I'll do master class. But like my younger daughter she'll be 3 next month, and she hasn't been, like, it depends on whether she's sleeping. So if she's not sleeping and I'm tired, I give myself enough leeway that, like, if I feel like I can't do it, that I'm going to do IMC. Like, I would so much rather do IMC than do nothing. And if I'm really like, it's a really bad, like we were up all night with her and like things are crazy and I can only get a half an hour in, then I do multitask because at least it's like the more advanced muscular structure. But I really, really try to be diligent. It's either IMC or MC. And now I'm starting where I'm doing master class at the beginning of the week. And if like I just can't do it, at least I know that like this is beyond what I am capable of doing right now. And it was really nice. The people that went to the Vitality Week, they posted that little clip of Tracy saying, like, you're not less for doing IMC, which I needed to hear. And I'm sure that helped a lot of other people too.
Definitely. Do you also do dance cardio?
I want to so bad. Oh my gosh. If you like scroll back on my Instagram, there's so many posts where I'm like, I'm gonna learn the dances. I'm gonna do it. And in my head, like, I can do it awesome, right? And then I'm like, this is hard. Like, I have rhythm, but I don't have rhythm like Tracy. And then my space where I work out is in my basement. And so there's concrete floors, which obviously isn't good from like, your knees and stuff. So I worry about that. But I'm still like, I'm bound and determined. I think it was last week I tried the low impact intro with Maria. I was like, oh my gosh, I did it. 23 minutes. It flew by. It was awesome. My knees did not hurt afterwards. For me, it's really a time issue. Like, I can't. I have just found the time to be able to fit that hour in. So trying to add another even 10 minutes on top of that sometimes would be enough to like push me over the edge to be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure I'm balancing so that I don't feel overwhelmed and then just say, like, I'm not doing this. So I want to like support myself, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. So what is your actual routine and how do you fit your workout into your life?
So I'll take that into two separate parts. So my routine is I do masterclass or IMC 5 to 6 days a week, except right now I just started taking an aerial class a couple of weeks ago.
Oh.
So now I know. So now I do the Tracy Anderson 5 days. One of my exercise days is that aerial class because it's like super upper body intensive. Like I have it on Thursday nights and I'm like still sore. And then of course this week's master class is like killing me. Like every move I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. So that's what I always try to do. And as far as like time of the day, again, that depends on whether Evelyn, who's the baby, is sleeping or not. So if she's sleeping, I'll get up and I'll work out from 5 to 6 a.m. Okay. And I never thought I would ever be able to work out that early, but I actually prefer it now because it's like everything's quiet. It's my me time. I'm all alone. It's dark. Like, I get to start my day off where, my activity thing for my Apple Watch is almost done. I'm like, you know what I mean? I feel like I've already accomplished, so much for the day. It just sets me off on the right foot. But if she's not sleeping, then I'll switch back to nights, which is how I used to always work out. And I'll work out usually when she goes to bed from 7:30 to like 8:30. Okay. And I'll do that. And that's not horrible either. I don't like to do that as much because obviously it's cutting into family time. But benefit of that is my girls are seeing me exercise, which I think is super positive. Yeah. And it's funny, they'll like come down and they like always like jump on the mat and like start kicking their little legs up. And so I always post that because I just think it's hilarious.
Yes.
And then they're so cute. And then how I fit it in. So how I fit it in is I make it a priority. So I work full time. I have 2 kids. They have activities. Like stuff's going on. So if I'm not planning, I can't get it all in. There's no way. So like I had to give up TV, which for me wasn't a horrible thing. I do meal planning. So I make on the weekends. I do my entire meal plan for the week. I order my groceries for pickup because that's an hour that I'm getting back out of my day, so totally worth it. Yeah, and I just make sure that when we're doing that, I'm prioritizing it. So that's how I'm able to fit it in. Is like really being strategic about it.
Yeah. That's definitely, speaking to like being a good example for your kids. I mean, it's a good example for all of us because I'm like, if there's people that you have all these things going on and you can fit it in, that whole thing about not having time is really just not at all acceptable because you really just have to make the time for it and figure out if it's a priority. Like you said, I mean, I definitely never watch TV. Like that's something I didn't even think about, but especially because I work out in the evenings, it's like, okay, I actually haven't seen a show in like years.
Right.
But does that really matter? No, like that doesn't need to be the priority. Like that's such an important point that you made. How do you personally get and stay motivated to keep working out regularly?
So I feel like I'm at the point where it's a habit, so it's not really that hard for me at this point. Obviously, the Tamily is super helpful with that, right? And if I'm I come home and it was hard day at work and it's late, I'm like, I don't want to work out. I do what I think many of us do, which is scroll Instagram real quick. I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's see. Icy got her workout in, Catherine got her workout in, there's Suzanne. I'm like, okay, just go and do it. And so I don't really make it an option. It's I don't post pictures as much anymore. I usually do the Insta stories, but when I was posting pictures, I would always do that hashtag, just keep pressing play, because that was my mantra. It's some days, especially early on before it was a habit, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm tired. I'm like, girl, you don't need to work out tonight. It's fine. I go home, I put workout clothes on.
Yep.
Still telling myself, you don't need to work out. I would allow myself, it's kind of like tricking yourself. I'd be like, you don't need to work out. And meanwhile, I would just make myself do it.
Yes.
And then once I started, it was fine. So.
Yeah, that's so true. Do you have any tips for the Tamily about doing TAM while traveling?
Yes, I have a really good tip. Go over to Maura's page. It's MB Swan 3, I think is her handle, and she has amazing tips. She actually has a little Insta story workout tips because she was in Hawaii, and she was girl was working out every day. So she has amazing tips. I don't travel too much, but I would say having a plan. That's one of my big things. Was it failing to plan is planning to fail, right?
Yeah.
So you got to have a plan. You got to have a backup plan because what if your Wi-Fi doesn't work?
Yeah.
If you're flying, obviously sometimes it's harder to take your weight, so you need to improvise. So it's just like everything else. Think ahead. How are you going to make it work?
Right. Exactly. What do your friends and family think about the Tracy Anderson method?
Well, I think my husband at first was kind of you're doing what? Wait, you're posting what on Instagram? Because we, neither of us are on social media. Instagram is the only thing that I do. And initially my account was public. And then just as I've gotten more and more into the Tamily, I've decided to make it private just because there's, you're working out.
Yeah.
So, and I, obviously anyone who wants to follow, I always accept. But yeah, so once that was private, then he has been super, super, super supportive. It was it's so funny because even for this interview, he's so cute. He's you probably haven't thought of these technology things, turn the FaceTime off on your iPad so you don't get a FaceTime request right in the middle of it. Yeah, so he's always looking out and trying to be supportive, and I really appreciate it. My girls obviously love it. They're hilarious. They both know who Tracy Anderson is. I remember when Olivia, who's my older daughter, she'll say things like, "Does Tracy Anderson know who you are?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, no." And she's like, "But mommy, you do her workout all the time." Like, I know. It's so cute because, you know, when you're that little, she doesn't understand, and so she just thinks like we're all like, you know, friends together. Like, this is just someone who's down the road, and we all know each other and work out together. My extended family, who got the pleasure of seeing me work out every day on vacation on the deck in 90-degree heat, probably thinks I'm a little crazy.
Yeah.
But, you know, what can you do?
Yeah. It's just great to have that, like, fitness example and to be able to stick to your routine, you know, regardless of where you are or who you're with.
Yeah.
What type of results have you personally seen through your journey with the method?
So I've dropped some weight. I could drop a little bit more, but I would have to do, that's on the diet side, and I totally know that, known it. I'm just not ready to do that yet. But like, I've gotten so much strength, like core strength, upper body strength. Like, I just feel good. And honestly, I think that that's probably even more so than the physical. It's like the mental with this method. Like, and I'm glad that she started to talk about it and like the Ask Tracy, where she talks about how like you're moving through things and moving through emotions and how you're like everything's connected and the energy. Like, that's been super helpful for me to understand. And I feel like it's made my workouts so much more effective. So yeah, I like love my results. I love Tracy. Anytime I hear someone talking about something, like, I haven't been able to convert anyone, but anytime, you know, there's an opportunity, everyone like at my work knows that I do Tracy Anderson every day. So yeah.
Yeah. Have you been to a Vitality Week or a studio yet?
I've not been to a studio. It's like salt in the wound because I wanted to go to that New York Vitality Week so bad. And I feel like it just sold out so quick.
Yeah.
It was like Friday night, it was posted, and then it's like talking to my husband, like, okay, this weekend, and looking at my work schedule, and then we're all set. We're like, yes, go do it. And then I go on the website, and I'm like, sold out. And I think I posted like 2 full days of like just like that super crying emoji, like all of the feelings, and like so many people were going to.
Yeah.
That I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm gonna miss it. My husband, of course, so he's like calling the studio, and is there any way?
Oh my god!
I know, it's so funny. The studio's like, well, send an email to Julie. So I got on the wait list, and I know a couple of people. Like, I know Mara and Summer were both on the wait list and got in. So once they got in, I was like, there's no way there's going to be that big of a wait list. So I just accepted it, and I know at some point, I'll be able to go. So next time, there will be no hesitation. Like, now I know, because I feel like the last time it didn't sell out in 2 days. So it was just like, I bet there must have been like just so much pent up demand.
Yeah.
And so many people, just the weekend worked really well, and so people just snatched it up right away. So if you want to go, make sure you don't wait, because that happened to Catherine too. She wanted to go, and so we both missed out.
Yeah, you have to make the decision and be ready. Have the credit card or whatever you're going to use
exactly.
ready. And just...
Oh my God, I'm reading Icy's comment right now. It says, "Let's go together. We can clean and work out and organize. It'll be amazing." Yes, girl.
Yeah, we should. I think in the last interview, actually, someone was talking about Ask Tamily Camp, and I'm like, we should definitely try to either just go to a studio or go to a Vitality Week. But Tracy hasn't been announcing that many of them lately, so I think you're right. That's like that one came up and it was gone because we're like all waiting for the right one.
And that was convenient too. I mean, the year before, like, she had the one in Vail, which not super. I mean, if you're a skier, I guess, but I'm not so much for the cold weather.
Yeah. So we do have a few more questions for you, but I just want to remind everybody that's watching, if they have any questions, they can type them in, and we will scroll through at the end and make sure we answer them. And actually, I don't know if anyone has typed in the question yet because I wasn't paying attention to our
No, I wasn't. You know, the funny thing is that when I watch these, I'm always like, oh, I would totally be, like, noticing if there was a... But you don't. Like, you have to pay attention to what you're saying, and you have to talk to the other person. You can't, like, read all the comments.
Yeah, it is actually very difficult, but
Yeah.
we'll ask our last few questions, and then we'll try to scroll through.
Okay.
Where do you live, and what do you do?
Well, I live in Ohio. Catherine also lives in Ohio. But I live just north of Columbus. And so that means we are just far enough away to feel like we're close, but too far away to make it easy to get together, especially since we both work and have kids. So we will definitely get together at some point. And then for what I do, I work at The Ohio State University, which is, I love it. So I've been there. So I'm a finance director for one of the colleges, which means I sit behind a desk all day on a computer doing Excel files. So that is especially why it's so important that I'm doing like active stuff outside of work. And I've been there. I just celebrated my 18th year anniversary in August. I know, isn't it crazy? I know. So I've been there forever, and
oh my gosh.
I had just a 1-year break where I left the university and I moved to San Francisco. And I know. And then I was there for a year, and then it just didn't fit right for me. So then I came back to Ohio, and I went back to the university. So I will probably be there until I retire.
Yeah, you have a lot of years there.
There's a lot of years. I know. It's so funny. Yeah, it's when they're like 18 years. I'm like, yeah, 18 years.
Yeah, you definitely don't even seem like you'd be old enough to work somewhere for that long.
You. I'm going to be 40 in July.
Oh, that is unbelievable. It really is. But I think that's an effect of Tracy, too. I'm like,
yes.
I've seen, like, differences in my face from doing this workout.
The whole, where she talks about the skin and, like, the sweating. Like, I'm a big believer in that sweating. And that's actually the one thing that I don't have in my TAM space. So I work out in the basement, and it's not finished. I mean, I've made my space really nice. Oh, this is another thing that I forgot to talk about when you were talking about, like, how you stay motivated. Having, if there's any way you can, having dedicated space and, like, the right equipment is super, super important. Because, like, if you go back and look at, like, my very first postings when I started streaming, it was, like, I was in, like, the corner of the basement. It had all, like, crap. Like, not crap, but you know what I mean. Like, stored containers full of stuff. And I only had, like, one little mat, so when we would do those, like, moving, then my hands on the cold basement floor is, like, horrible, right? So as I was sticking with it, my husband started rearranging things, and now, like, I have a really nice space. And I got things like that, a really big square 36 mat. Have you seen those?
Yes. I've been wanting to get one.
Oh my gosh, honestly, it's so worth it. Just because of, like, how much you're moving, and if you have dedicated space where you can leave it down, it's awesome. Helps you when you're doing cardio too for, like, impact. And then just having,
how
like,
thick is it? Is that a very thick mat?
It's thick. That thick. It's not, like, super thick, so I still use a Lululemon, their thicker mat on top, folded over. But that's because I'm a big baby and I don't want my knees to hurt. Like, I'm sure other people are fine not using all that extra stuff. So having good equipment, key, and just making your space so you want to go down there. Like, for my birthday, my husband got me these enormous wall mirrors, which are awesome because it's dark down there, so it helps make it seem like it's lighter. And then I can check my form, and I pretend like we really got them to help the girls too, so they can, like, practice ballet and stuff. But they're really for me.
Yeah, that definitely helps. I mean, obviously some people can't have a dedicated space, but that's certainly a motivating factor, and it also makes it feel like it's that special time for you, and it's your area. Is there a motivational quote that you would like to share with the Tamily?
Oh my gosh, yes, and I had to write it down because I knew this would happen. Because I'm like sitting here and I'm like, oh crap, what was it? Okay, I have two. The first one, sorry, it's like literally written down. I just realized my face isn't on the screen. Which is, I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm telling you it's going to be worth it, which is Art Williams. And that is so true. And I actually like fell in love with that quote when I was nursing my first child. Like someone, because it's hard. Some people have an easy time, but it is not easy. And so someone had said that to me, and I was like, oh, okay, great. So I just kind of like, and I feel like it's applicable to everything, right? So anything that's worth doing, it's not necessarily going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. So do it. And then the other one is whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It's Henry Ford. I love that one because it's so true, right?
Yeah.
If you think you can do it, you're going to make it happen. And if you think you can't, well, you're right. You can't do it.
Right. And that's so true for so much about the method. Like, the moves that we do, sometimes it's like, oh, this is impossible. And then in 2 days, you're doing it. Like, I'll never forget, and I guess this might have been, like, it was right around the time of the Hamptons Vitality Week, I think August of 2017 or something. Mm-hmm. Tracy did a headstand in the middle of the workout. And, of course, everyone is like, well, he can't do that. And she turns off the music, and she's like, it's all in your mind. You can do it. And, of course, I couldn't do it the whole week of that class, but I did it afterwards. Really just, like, thinking about that. And I try to think that way when we have, like, the stand-up move last week.
Were you able to do that stand-up move? I'm interested.
Never. I got really close, but I could never actually, like, I got my butt off the ground, but I could never actually get all the way up.
Do the stand-up.
Yeah, never. You posted, like, your kid could do it or something, didn't you?
Well, yes. Olivia could do it easy. And I see Gina on here, too. And Gina had the same thing where her little Leo could do it no problem. And so Gina and I were going back and forth because we're like, oh, my gosh, why? Because there's so many. Like, I was looking at I'm like, how are all these people can do this? This is crazy. And so some people had, like, tricks that I ended up using, like holding hand weights because it would give you enough momentum that then I could stand up. But I'm still, like, I really wish Tracy would maybe let us know, like, either, like, what muscle that was working. Because I don't know if it's maybe because I had a C-section, because I know Gina and I talked about this, that maybe those are the muscles and they're so dead.
Right.
But do it. I would love to pretend like it was something with, like, tall people, because a lot of tall people, I noticed, tall people seem like they could do it. Like, did you see, like, Loretta and Teresa? They were, like, elegant, graceful gazelles or something. And I'm like, oh my, I can't use that excuse, because Tracy could do it. And she's not tall.
Right. Yeah, but someone did say, like, if you got enough of your body, like, over your hips, that the leverage to get up, and I'm like, there's not more of me to get over
maybe
that
it's something
far.
with the proportion. Like, maybe I just don't have enough body length from here to here to, like, have enough gravity to push me up, and then that's why the weights, like, when I held the weights, then it could. Anyway, that was, like, so frustrating, that move. But I'm glad that I stuck with it, and I tried, and I know it's a total cheat to use the weights, because I'm sure that then, like, changes what muscles are being, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she always says that, like, if you change little things, then you're, shouldn't say ruining, but you're changing the strategy of the move, right? So it's not the same move. So I try not to do stuff like that. And you know what? I think it was you mentioned this. Maybe it was in one of the prior Ask Tamilys, where you had asked her about the toe anchoring. So just so you know, that helps me, like, at least once a month. Because there will be a move, and I'll be like, what? You're anchoring your toe. That's cheating. Stop anchoring that toe.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the funny thing, like, she never talked about that, but I
Mm-hmm.
realized I'm balancing myself, my toe, and I'm thinking, well, is that okay? But she never,
Mm-hmm.
almost never, like, sometimes there are moves, but really almost never, her foot is, and I'm like,
Right.
so much harder with your foot flat, and as soon as I asked her, I think that was at maybe the Charleston Vitality. She was like, "Yeah, you can't do that. That's toting the whole thing." And I'm like, "Well, nobody had like, hey, no toe anchoring. Like, it wasn't a message to all of us, but it really
Right.
does. And I mean, you can just feel it, whole body. Like it's so much more about the balance when you're not anchoring your harder. But
Yeah.
you're gonna get so much more. But it's just like when I tried the weights, I was like, this is not authorized by Tracy, but I'm doing whatever I can to see if I can just get
Yes.
this move. And it just sticks in my mind that maybe it's a mental thing. And as soon as I can do it, just be able to do it a million times. Like if you watch Tam Malaysia, when she finally got it, then she was doing it over and over again everywhere.
I know. So, I'll probably keep trying to do that move periodically to see if I can eventually get it.
For you, and I don't know if anybody, but we'll scroll through and
I think we're starting to get a little bit of a delay, I'm noticing.
Yeah, I feel like eventually we'll all be able to do it. We are. Our last planned question for you is who in the Tamily inspires you?
I know that we always ask this, and this is such a good question, but it's so hard, right? Because there's so many people in the Tamily that are super amazing, and I'm always worried I'm gonna forget to say someone's name because there are so many people that help me so much. Like when I first started, Natalia, who I think she keeps changing her handle, but it's Happiness Through Tam, I think is her current one. She was just so sweet and helpful, and I'm probably gonna say her name wrong. Aggie. It's Aggie Kanwala is her handle. I don't know if I'm saying that right or wrong. I'm horrible with names. But she was also very, very helpful in the beginning. Icy is amazing and always pushes me, and we bond over our OCD cleaning habits. Let's see, Rebecca, Maiko, Darlene, you guys, obviously, and the fact that you are taking your time and doing this is amazing. I watched the first interview, but did you guys talk about how you thought of doing this?
Yeah, I think that it was just basically as when I learned something else about family members isolating, and I was going through a time of not feeling motivated to work out, and I was like, how can a person who only took 7 rest days in a year not feel like working out? I think it was a few different people that they just shared something else about themselves, and I was like, well, this feels more like it can do something that enhances getting to know that, and ask everyone what are your tips and tricks, and why do you do this? That might just be more motivating. We started
I totally agree,
and not really even thinking we even know we were going to put it on you first, and it was okay, we have a page and do this, and we really just wanted to start it it's a casual conversation that we can all get something out of, and it's so the lives. And since we're not playing music, Instagram won't cut us off. So that I thought was this is a great way to utilize this feature and support the Tamily.
Yeah.
Kind of became bigger than we were even thinking. But now I'm we can do this every week forever until we talk to everybody in the.
No, that would be great. I agree with you 100%. There has not been one of these that I have watched where I have not walked away with like at least something. And, definitely agree. It's very motivating and inspiring. And, because like Tracy talks about like our emotional selves and how we can, really sometimes get in our own heads and get in our own way. And so for me, even though I feel like I am pretty self-motivated, but seeing other women and hear them talk about how they're getting it done, women who have very busy jobs, some who, are staying home and they have kids, like everyone, no matter where you are in your life, everyone has so much stuff going on. Everyone is trying to juggle it. Everyone has some kind of struggle that they're trying to battle through. And so this has been super helpful for me, which is why when you guys sent me a message, I was like, no way! Like, awesome. I was really super, super flattered and couldn't believe that you guys had contacted me, so I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, just watching people, especially like you're very insistent about having the Insta stories. It's like, well, I just want to know more about, the person's life. I think this community, like the Tamily, to me is something that is unique compared to any other community, anywhere online or in any social media. It's so positive and it's so reinforcing and very focused on women, even though there are part of it certainly lots that are supporting us, but having like a community like this where we all support each other and we're so different, like hearing about what people do from raising children to like being pilots to all different kinds of walks of life. It's like we have so many different people, but we can all connect with one thing. And for it to be about, our own health and wellness and balance, that's just so amazing. And I think anything we can to, enhance that community is fantastic.
No, I agree completely. And for me, like I said at the beginning, the Tamily was like a huge motivator, right? Because like I could have very easily given up, but so many people came in and said, no, girl, you got it. Keep going. Add those weights. No, you can stream. No, you can go to masterclass. No, you can get through those double weights. Because I swear, I posted about that for probably like 3 weeks. Like, I'm so afraid to try double weights. And I think it was Natalie, I think her name is Natalie. She was like, girl, just put on the weights. Just put on the weights and do it. If you can't do all the reps, it doesn't matter. And so, that was like super helpful. And you don't have that. Like, not that I know of, I don't think any of the other, platforms out there have this kind of community. And I think Tracy was like super smart with how she helped to encourage it and nurture it. And it's interesting because I had actually been contacted by a writer from Time Magazine who was doing an article about streaming. And so I have my little quote in Time Magazine. It's in my bio if you want to see it. Yeah, where I talk about how I love streaming with Tracy Anderson. But that was one of the things I said is that the community is a big reason because obviously, I'm at home. I'm doing this alone. But because of the community, I'm not alone. So it's, super important. And I feel like the more that we all try to, like, not protect the community, but help it, foster it along, the better it is for all of us and all the new people coming in.
Absolutely. So that was our last planned question, but I think there's some questions in here. Icy wants to know when your birthday is.
I'm trying to scroll back through, which is why I'm like sideways. Oh, look.
Icy also thinks.
Who? What? We're on delay again for some reason.
Technology. Icy thinks you look 22 and she wants to know when your birthday is.
Oh my gosh, I see where Icy is like, hey girl, have a taco. I love tacos. Oh, sorry, but this is really thrilling for everyone watching me scroll through the comments.
So there's a question that
Did you
there's
ask
a question that Aggie just asked.
Okay, let me scroll down. Sorry, guys. If you were forced to leave your home and move to a country where you've never been, 3 things that you would take with you. Oh, that's a really good question. Okay.
She's very good at questions.
I know. Am I allowed to say, like, my family is one thing, even though there's 3 of them?
Of course you can.
Okay, well, I would take my family. I would take my hard drive, because that has all my pictures on it and videos, and those are very important to me. And then I would, oh my gosh, Patty, your questions are so good and so hard, because it's like trying to distill, like, what is the other most important thing in your life? And I would say I would probably bring my Kindle so that I could read.
That's a good. Yeah, Aggie asks very deep questions.
Yeah, she's always making me think, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think besides that question, when your birthday is.
What'd she ask? I'm sorry.
Your birthday.
July 3rd.
Alright, we'll have that.
Don't worry,
She
I'm
also
sure we
thinks
posted
you're only
stuff about being
22.
40.
So before we
I can't hear anything.
end your interview, we just want to ask, is there anything else that you would like, Tamily, while you have this audience? At least it's happening at
You to everyone. Like, honestly, like, everyone is so awesome and inspiring and helpful. Like, it's unbelievable. And I'm really lucky because I feel like I've connected with a couple of just really amazing women who we have so much in common, and I would have never found them except for, you know, having the Tamily community on Instagram. Like, you know, it's just amazing. So I think that everyone is awesome, and I love seeing all of your posts. And I try not to, like, I feel like some days I get a little crazy. Like, if I start on Insta stories, then I, like, keep going. So I try to, like, keep it in check, because I realize everyone has such large, you know, followings. Sometimes it's hard. And one thing that, and maybe I'll ask this question, and if later on, like, people think about it and maybe leave comments on the YouTube, but one thing that I would love to hear more about is how people manage their social media, because there's so many people and I want to be able to support everyone, but how do you guys do it? Like, seriously.
Okay, well, that's a good thing for the family to respond to. And we will obviously post the interview to YouTube. Usually gets it up there with her magical tech genius within a couple of days. And this interview will be on IG for about 24 hours. So we can, you know, see it there. But we thank you for participating with us and being an hour and being consistent with your workouts, so we can see some motivation from you as well. And thank you for your time today, Rachel.
Yes, thank you so much, both of you, and thank you everyone who joined in. I appreciate all of the support. Oh, you know what? I just saw Icy asked a question. She said, in Ohio, is fitness and health a huge thing like it is in California? Girl, no. No, it's not. It would be much easier if it were. No, I mean, I think that, like, of all the people I work with, there's not that many people that consistently work out. So that's another reason why the Tamily is so important, because, you know, I remember when I used to think it was crazy if you work out for an hour. That's nuts. And now I do that, you know, 5 to 6 days a week willingly, and I like it. So, yeah, no, it's not. I wish it were. Maybe one day it will be.
Yeah, exactly. We need it to become everywhere so we can all be healthy and balanced.
Yeah, totally.
Well, thank you, Rachel, for your insight and expertise and motivational inspiration for the Tamily. We really appreciate it. And we will get the interview on YouTube as well. So thank you very much for participating
Awesome.
today.
Thanks, Suzanne. I can now release my family from the bedroom where I told
Have
them
a
to
great
stay.